On Facebook, like our page and share our posts at People's TV NG. On Twitter, follow us at PTV_NG. Follow us on Instagram at PTVNG. Watch and subscribe to our YouTube channel, People's TV. Visit our website, www.ptvng.com. Subscribe now and join the conversation online. People's TV, people's preferred station.
Do you know that PTV remains the best place to showcase those lovely goods and services of yours? Yes, with our visibility in 36 states of Nigeria and over 50 countries of the world, we definitely have the talent reach. What are you waiting for? Book your adverts now. Call us with the number displayed on your screen.
You are watching People's Television, your people's preferred station, powered by you.
For innovative research-based analysis, fresh news and programs, join us on PTV, the People's Oriented Station, transmitting on Star Times Channel 120, showing across 36 states in Nigeria, and Channel 77 on Strong Decoder across 52 countries. Yes, you asked for it. Now you have the best of television. You can also follow us on our social media platforms showing on your screen. People's Television, powered by you.
Soldiers helping Nigerian forces fight Boko Haram.
We will have to persuade Nigerian legislators.
This is coming together of people who are confused.
Executive order should comply with the law. I personally dissociate myself completely.
From this interview, because you have
said there had hardly been any administration.
Well explained the end of justice about
no religious body in Nigeria validate the claims by the INEC chairman. It is
To, da kai da ke da ita da shi da kowa nake so na yi magana da. Me ke faruwa? Kana son karuwa ga ka zaune bakin rijiya amma kana jin ishin ruwa? Gangan jikin siyasa. In ta dangwala ka dangwala na dangwala. Ina amfanin ana yi ba da kai ba? A turancin Najeriya to an gaya maka. No sit down look. Kana sit down kana looking komai na ƙara lalacewa? Ina ka ga daman ƙorafi? Da masu jini a jika ake yi, watan matasa. Kwankwasa a buɗa ki shige, dago ka shaki iska ko kalime, da ƙyar ka sha yafi da ƙyar aka kama ka. No sit down look. Matasa ke siyasa.
Hello and welcome to PTV Today. I am Lilian Ogazi. INEC's decision to extend the registration exercise by 2 weeks has elicited a rush by prospective voters in Benue State. Many residents are trooping out in large numbers to some of the registration centers in Makurdi Metropolis, but they are also expressing dissatisfaction with the process. Benue State correspondent Akumetav tells us more in this report that will be brought to you in our subsequent bulletin. Meanwhile, the Independent National Electoral Commission is concerned that over 200,000 permanent voters' cards have yet to be claimed in Benue State. It is, however, prepared to step up its enlightenment campaign to ensure that more eligible voters show up to pick up their PVCs. The Nigerian Union of Journalists is not comfortable with the arrest and detention of Premium Times journalist Samuel Ogundikpe. It also wants the federal government to prevail on security agencies to allow the media carry out their duties without fear. The union wondered why Ogundikpe is still being held after 48 hours in spite of public outcry. Emmanuel Hijana reports.
It is more than 48 hours since the police took Samuel Ogundikpe into custody, and journalists and Nigerians are concerned. This is because another journalist, Jones Abiri, had spent 2 years in custody over what NUJ considered a spurious allegation.
Jones Abiri, for over 2 years by the Department of State Security, on the face of it, is a slap. It's a slap on our democracy. It's a slap on press freedom. It's a slap on freedom of expression. Because judging from even what they're charging for, conspiracy, criminal concealment or whatever. So you look at it and you ask him, what did he do? What did he do? And for 2 years, the DSS could not bring up any evidence against him. As we have seen in court today, this is the second time he will be appearing, yet the DSS could not provide the witness or even evidence. That shows they had nothing against him. It was just an attempt to muzzle the press. And any attempt to muzzle the press will definitely affect this democracy.
They argue that media practitioners should be allowed to carry out their jobs without fear.
It's an unfortunate situation, and on the part of the DSS, they have failed. And I think the DSS had to stop this kind of intimidation. It's unjust to keep someone for 2 years without any evidence. I am in the court today and I listened. They have no evidence why they are keeping him, and this should not continue. This should be discouraged. This is not the kind of DSS we are expecting. The DSS should be restructured, and I think it is high time. You don't keep someone when you don't have evidence to prove why you're keeping him. The court have called for 2 years. No, you cannot forward why you are keeping this man. It's so disturbing, it's so worrisome, and I condemn DSS in totality in this particular regard.
What we've seen is the persistence of advocacy, that an injury to one is an injury to all. If the journalist fraternity had not galvanized the kind of support that was needed for government to show that Jones was alive, our efforts would have been futile. But also, it also brings to question the issue of press freedom in Nigeria. Press freedom and freedom of opinion is a constitutional guarantee. But unfortunately, we have seen that there have been breaches here and there under this government and in previous administrations, which should not be so. As we presently speak, a journalist is in the custody. Samuel Ogundikpe is in the custody of the police. As we are speaking right now, the police are brutalizing protesters in front of police headquarters.
And in spite of the ordeal of Abiri and now Ogundikpe, the Journalists Union wants its members not to be deterred. The leadership urged media men to continue to operate within the ethics of the job and the ambit of the law.
Well, one, they should adhere strictly to the provisions of the ethics of our profession and be factual in all they are reporting, not biased, and of course, things like this could happen once in a while, but they should remain on they should not be deterred, and they should also have the back of their minds that their union is solidly behind them. We will fight this case, any of the similar thing like this to happen to anybody, we will fight it anytime we see such things occur. So they should not be deterred. It's part of the hazards of the profession, and I am sure we are up to the task as professionals. We will fight such things, and the journalism, yes, it's not a crime. Yes, we have been saying that journalism is not a crime. So nobody, so no government or any agent of government should not treat journalists as criminals or our profession as a crime. No, we are offering a service to the society, and while the government should do its own, they should also allow the press to do its own work within society.
All right, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you. The NUJ also maintained that it won't relent in its efforts to see Ogudikpe released and his bank account unfrozen. Emmanuel Ehijine, PTV News, Abuja.
The police have meanwhile said they have not done anything wrong by holding on to the reported police spokesman Juba Moshood insists in a statement that Samuel Ogundikpe is being investigated and prosecuted for theft and unlawful possession of restricted and classified documents inimical to nation security. He explained that the journalist is also being prosecuted under the offences which violate Official Secret Act, Cyber Act crime and the Penal Code. The police spokesman noted that Ogundikpe has since volunteered statements and is standing trial. Moshood added that Ogundikpe was arraigned within 24 hours after his arrest and remained in police custody till Monday, August 20th. The arrest and prosecution of Premium Times reporter Samuel Ogundikpe by the police has been eliciting negative reactions on the social media. The arrest came on the day the presidency ordered an overhaul of the Special Anti-Robbery Squad. The consensus, especially among Twitter users, is that acting President Yemi Osinbajo needs to intervene on the matter. Our social media correspondent Daniel Waboso has more.
Welcome to Social Media Reactions here on PTV News. I am Daniel Mwaboso. Now, since the arrest of the Premium Times reporter, Twitter has been on fire with the hashtag Free Samuel Ogundikpe, which has been trending. Notable Nigerians as well as ordinary Twitter users have joined the call for the reporter's unconditional release. We kickstart with the tweet from Governor Ayo Fayose. After weeks of silence, the Ekiti State Governor joined the fray, saying the move deserves condemnation by all lovers of freedom of speech and of the press. He added that he was joining well-meaning Nigerians to call for his release. Now, the journalist, for his part, wondered why the police had to freeze Ogundikpe's account and asked the central bank whether individual accounts could be frozen without a court order. Anyway, Chickstar believes banks are complying with illegal orders. Now, pro-PDP online activists prefer to draw attention to police siege on Benue Assembly and the blockade at the National Assembly by masked security operatives, as well as closure of visa issuance at the U.S. Embassy, and said, quote, just sounds like those dark days of Abacha's dictatorship. Moving on now, another social media influencer sees it as an attempt ploy to bully him into revealing his sources when it is not like he lied or misinformed the public. He also hopes that, in quote, they don't try to frame him because there's no case here, unquote. Let's move up now, and Amnesty International, which readily complains about alleged police brutality, tweets via its Twitter handle at Amnesty Nigeria handle that the police should unconditionally release journalist Samuel Ogundikpe, who it says is in unlawful police detention, and for effects, Amnesty tagged the acting president's handle. Moving up now, we are also adding our voice to the immediate release of detained reporter Samuel Ogundikpe. By now, it's not a crime to be active in one's line of duties. Now, and here is one from a journalist, a TVC reporter, whose tweets about police embarrassing the country, embarrasses, the country and all of that. Now, he wants to educate security officers. This is what he said. Femi lashes out at security chiefs and whether it would take another order from the president to free Samuel Ogundikpe. Some notable supporters of the Buhari administration, like Kenneth Cole, also opted to brush, politics aside to take on the police with an appeal on the Inspector General of Police not to dent what he says are the good works of the president and his deputy. Moving up now, another person spoke out for journalists by saying, without confidentiality, many sources of information will not give journalists information. That's a tweet you can see there. Now, moving up now, another tweet reminded everyone that it all happened on the day the acting president ordered the overhaul of SARS. He maintained that such impunity must stop. And going to one notable Nigeria now, former Vice President Atiku Abubakar, for his part, said Samuel Ogudigbe's detention for his refusal to disclose his source to a story raises serious concerns about the preservation of the confidentiality of sources. For him, there is need to protect press freedom as guaranteed by the Constitution. Moving on now to another tweet that says, it is quite clear that the consensus among Twitter users in Nigeria is that this is one police move that was so wrong. But one thing you will be sure about is that we at PTV will keep our viewers updated on the developments in the social media on the Free Samuel Ogudigbe campaign. I am Daniel Mwawoso for PTV News.
An Abuja Magistrate Court has adjourned the trial of Bayelsa-based journalist Jones Abiri till August 17th. This is after he was formally arraigned for alleged criminal intimidation. The court also wants the Department of State Service to present evidence to support their claims. Abiri was held in the DSS cell for 2 years before his court appearance. Judiciary correspondent Emmanuel Bagudu has more.
I can only tell you, can't do it.
After 2 years in detention, Jones Abiri is finally in court.
This man is blocking the side. Begging him to leave my front.
He is the publisher of Weekly Source magazine. Abiri was arrested in July 2016 for allegedly having a link with militants in the Niger Delta. But his long detention, which lasted for 2 years without trial, is the reason these crowds have gathered at this magistrate court to witness his first arraignment in court. Here in this crowd is the leadership of Amnesty International, Nigerian Union of Journalists, and a host of many other civil rights activists.
We're in a situation whereby people are afraid to speak their mind. They are afraid, and then a situation where members of the press are self-censoring themselves because they are not sure about what would land them in trouble for comments or materials they've shared. And so our call is that freedom of expression is a fundamental human right. Freedom of a press is recognized worldwide. And today, the fact that one of your own has been released on bail is a sign that justice still prevails in our society.
Samuel Ogala is Abiri's counsel. He gave an insight on the journey so far.
But the prosecutor came prepared, and then we made an application that the FIR should be struck out and the defendant discharged. But the court, in his own wisdom, decided to adjourn the case to tomorrow and gave the prosecutors the last warning that if they are not ready to commence trial tomorrow, that the court will do justice by striking out the case. The prosecutor was in court, but the prosecutor that came in court claimed to be representing the main prosecutor, who he claimed is not around. And there was no justifiable reason why the lead prosecutor is not in court.
The court threatened to strike out the case if the DSS fails to provide detailed evidence against Abiri. Emmanuel Bagudu, PTV News, Abuja.
The Niger Delta activist Daniel Ezekiel has alleged that a number of youths are held in DSS facilities in the last 3 years. He made these claims while recalling his ordeal at the detention facility. The activist described the inhumane condition under which he was kept alongside some youths from his region.
There are still so many innocent Nigerians who are languishing in DSS detention. To be precise, as I'm talking to you, 48 Niger Delta youths are in DSS custody for the past 2 years. they've not been taken to court, and those whose family were able to get competent court judgment, they've not been let go. This is the situation we find ourselves in Nigeria, and I equally want to use this opportunity to appeal to the acting president, who is not just a lawyer but a son of 36 years in practice, to carry out a reform in DSS. I think this reform is even overdue for the SSCs of DSS to be curtailed, and for Niger Delta youth who are languishing in DSS custody to be set free.
The National Economic Council says the security situation in Benue State and other crisis-prone states has improved. This is one of the highlights of the meeting presided over by Acting President Yemi Osinbajo on Thursday. Benue State Deputy Governor Benson Abonu attributed it to the performance of troops deployed for Operation Royal Stroke. A federal high court in Abuja on Thursday suspended hearing the contempt suit against the chairman of Independent National Electoral Commission, Mahmood Yakubu. This is pending the hearing of an appeal in respect of the suit. Justice Stephen Palm said in a short ruling at the resumed hearing that he was adjourning the matter in view of an order by the Court of Appeal. Emmanuel Okorie, counsel to the applicant Ejike Obuegu, had reminded the court about the appeal court order. The judge had earlier told INEC's counsel Samuel Omale to convey his displeasure to Yakubu's counsel Adegboyega Awomolo over the manner in which he was handling the matter. And on Nigerian politics, the Independent National Electoral Commission has formally handed out certificates of registration to the new political parties. The ceremony also provided a platform for the Commission to drop hints of plans to tackle vote buying in coming elections. Emmanuel Bagudu has more from the INEC headquarters.
For the new parties, it's time to roll out the drums. Not surprising, INEC headquarters looked the scene of a mini political rally. While the party supporters were jubilating, their officials were receiving their certificates of registration. For INEC, it was yet another time to reel out the rules of engagement.
The 23 political parties emerged out of 144 applications received by the Commission so far from associations seeking registration as political parties. I wish to congratulate the chairmen and leaders of the new political parties for meeting the criteria enshrined in the Constitution for your registration as political parties. Needless to add that from today, you are recognized as political parties under the law.
The new parties were formally received by representatives of other parties.
This opens the landscape of participation and opportunity for electors to choose their representatives, and also I want to thank the Commission for being diligent, following the law and order by accepting your applications to register as political parties as guided by the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
The new parties say they are bringing something new and better for Nigerians.
Nigerians are tired of the capriciously rapacious political parties that have put them in a state of hopelessness. At this time, I'm hoping that all the members of the 23 political parties here will see ourselves as a fresh lease of life for Nigerians. And Mr. Chairman, we are hoping that when you are giving the next certificate of return, it will be to one of the people in this room and not those who have disappointed Nigerians.
Nigeria now has 91 political parties with the registration of the latest entrants. Emmanuel Bagudu, PTV News, Abuja.
The Independent National Electoral Commission has received sensitive materials for the Port Harcourt Constituency 3 State Assembly by-election. Resident Electoral Commissioner in Rivers State, Obo Ifanga, disclosed this at the INEC State headquarters in Port Harcourt. He said that he received the materials at the Central Bank amid tight security. Ifanga added that movements will be restricted on Saturday between 8 a.m. and 6 p.m. within the areas involved in the by-election. He also said the participating political parties had assured INEC that they would play the game by the rule to ensure a peaceful electoral process. And in Osun State, the Youth Initiative for Advocacy, Growth and Advancement Africa, YAGA, said it has trained 31 long-term pre-election observers for the September 22nd governorship election in Osun State. YAGA disclosed this in a statement signed by its Executive Director, Samson Itodo. He said the trained observers would help the group to detect early warning signals which may affect the credibility of the electoral process. Says no fewer than 134,000 registered voters in Anambra are yet to collect their permanent voters card. Resident Electoral Commissioner Nwachukwu Orji told newsmen in Oka that registrants are yet to collect their PVCs, and they were mostly those who registered between 2011 and 2017. As the race for the 2019 presidential election thickens, leading aspirants of the People's Democratic Party turned up in Edo State to seek delegate support. Former Vice President Atiku Abubakar and former PDP caretaker Chairman Ahmed Makafi believed that they have what it takes to rule the country. The two aspirants also brought up what they say is the urgent need to restructure Nigeria. PTV's Kingsley Eben has more in this report presented from our studios.
At the last count, 91 political parties have been registered ahead of the 2019 elections. A number of them also have a coalition deal in place to wrestle power from the APC-led federal government. But former Vice President Atiku Abubakar is pressing on with what may be his final effort at clinching the presidency.
I can run as many times as possible. I am fit, qualified, and I still have ideas that I believe are going to put this country on the right path. So this was what I'm running. Some of you think you are desperate. I'm not desperate. I'm not desperate. I'm desperate. I have taken the presidency in 2003.
Another PDP presidential hopeful, Ahmed Makafi, has been speaking about those he says are seeking to destroy the country. And as for PDP members in Edo, it was a good thing to be considered important by the aspirants.
Former Vice President, who is aspiring to be a president now, is a man who can rely on, a matured man. And I think all these issues of insecurity, poverty, all the nonsense that are happening now, if we have a good government, with the government of Atiku,
the Edo State, is very ready for him. I'd say he is the man to lead us forward. He is the man to take us out of this economic depression. He is the man to take Nigeria.
With PDP's presidentials close at hand, it is expected that more aspirants will move around to solicit delegate support.
Some senators have resolved to move a motion for judicial probe of the recent security siege at the National Assembly complex. Senator Issa Hama Misau and Rafiu Ibrahim have insisted that they would sponsor a motion on the floor to demand that the federal government set up a judicial commission of inquiry on the matter. Misau and Ibrahim said in a joint statement in Abuja that an open inquiry would enable Nigerians know what led to the siege and those behind it. The senators maintain that it would be one of the priority assignments of the Senate on resumption. The Nigerian Security Department of State Service now has a spokesman. He is Nochinonye Afunaya. The appointment was contained in a statement by the Public Relations Department of the agency. Afunaya was identified in the statement as the editor-in-chief of the DSS in-house magazine, The Triples, and is said to be a PhD student. Until recently, DSS statements were signed in the last 3 years by Antonio Pio, who has never been seen in public. The last visible DSS spokesperson was Marilyn Oga. The Edo State government says it has received 3,883 Libyan returnees between November 2017 and August 2018. The statistics were given in the one-year report on activities of the state's task force against human trafficking in Benin. The document indicated that the returnees came in 34 different batches from the last quarter of 2017. The federal government is partnering with a Chinese company to develop digital education and innovation in Nigerian schools. As part of the benefits, the Chinese digital technology giant NetDragon Websoft Holdings will build technology hubs in digital villages in rural areas. It will also help improve in technology and innovation in the nation's education sector. PTV's correspondent Francis Etuku has more.
NetDragon Websoft is a Chinese technology giant that has already established its presence in Edo State. That may be the reason why the Edo State government, in collaboration with the presidency, is looking at replicating their expertise in Nigeria's rural areas. The meeting is a brainchild of Governor Godswin Obaseki and the Office of the Senior Special Assistant to the President on Sustainable Development Goals. With the idea already launched, it is expected that the collaboration will open a new path to embedding technology and innovation into the curricula of primary and secondary schools in Nigeria. Francis Etuko, PTV News, Abuja.
UNICEF says Nigeria needs no fewer than 3 million toilets annually to meet the Sustainable Development Goals to scale up sanitation and hygiene before 2030. This was the thrust at the National Planning Meeting on Open Defecation Free campaign in Abuja on Thursday. Farouk Khan, a UNICEF water, sanitation and hygiene specialist, noted that present deficit in toilets ought to be reversed. This, according to him, is the only way the country can meet the SDG 6. He said that the goal of the ODF Nigerian National Campaign was for Nigeria to eradicate open defecation first by 2025 and achieve universal access to safely managed sanitation by 2030. According to him, the objectives of the campaign is for the tiers of government to prioritize sanitation in its development agenda through budgetary allocations and institutional framework. He added that this could be further strengthened through advocacy and media dissemination of key messages such as poor sanitation results in economic loss. And on Nigerian economy, the National Council on Privatization has approved the appointment of advisors for the 3 transactions undertaken by the Bureau of Public Enterprises for the current years as part of the reform strategy of the federal government. The listed transactions include the partial commercialization of the River Basin Development Authorities, the partial commercialization of the National Park Service, and the 7 national parks in concession of ecotourism. Activities in 3 selected parks in the concession of the Lagos International Trade Fair Complex. Rising from its 4th meeting for 2018 at the Presidential Villa, Council approved the engagement of Agri-Africa Consultants A&E Law Partnership Consortium for the transaction advisory services for the RBDAs. Similarly, it approved the engagement of Africa Wildlife Foundation for advisory services for the 7 national parks and concession of ecotourism activities in 3 selected parks. For the Lagos International Trade Fair Complex, MIA's Feedback Infrastructure Service was approved as a transaction advisors. The meeting was presided over by the NCP Vice Chairman and Minister of Finance, Kemi Adeosun. And on Nigeria economy, the bears continue to dominate trading activities on the Nigerian Stock Exchange, with the all-share index dropping to 34,000 mark. Barely 5 days, it moved to 35,000 mark. The index shared 457.70 points, or 1.30% on Thursday, to close at 34,617.12 against 35,074.82 on Wednesday. The market has maintained downward trend for 7 consecutive weeks, with losers outweighing the gainers. Also, the market capitalization shared 167 billion, or 1.30%, to close at 12.638 trillion naira, in contrast with 12.805 trillion naira achieved on Wednesday. An analysis of the price movement chart showed that 29 stocks recorded price depreciation, while 17 stocks posted price appreciation. Dangote Cement led the losers table with a loss of 8 naira to close at 206 naira per share. On the other hand, Okumo Oil recorded the highest gain with 1.45 naira to close at 74.55 naira per share. And that's it on the news. Many thanks for watching. I am Lilian Okazi.
On Facebook, like our page and share our posts at People's TV NG. On Twitter, follow us at PTV_NG. Follow us on Instagram at PTVNG. Watch and subscribe to our YouTube channel, People's TV. Visit our website, www.ptvng.com. Subscribe now and join the conversation online. People's TV, people's preferred station.
Do you know that PTV remains the best place to showcase those lovely goods and services of yours? Yes, with our visibility in 36 states of Nigeria and over 50 countries of the world, we definitely have the tallest reach. What are you waiting for? Book your adverts now. Call us with the number displayed on your screen.
A classico, I tell you, like 3 points is clear.
Yes.
Eh? They go watch match.
What do you want me to do about it? Give us light. That's the only thing you've been saying since you came into my office. Maybe your work be that. No, it's my work, but see.
Our government fit do their work if we self do our own work. No just sit down. Carry wetin dey worry you, go meet who suppose solve am.
Hello viewers, welcome to this edition of the Darling Program Banking and You. I'm your regular host, Jerry Ojono.
One of the reasons for the crowd in the banking hall have to do with the bulk of people who use the ATM. One of the banks happened to be one of our very old banks. Okay, they were doing that. They've been doing that for quite a while. You know, the level of education usually cannot be compared to education for those with current accounts. Yeah. Okay.
Tribal mark is the scratching, etching, burning or cutting designs, pictures or words into the skin as a permanent body notification or modification.
The practice of tribal marks have been in existence for hundreds of years, and they are not peculiar to Nigeria, not even Africa. During the transatlantic slave trade, tribal identification and facial stripes became important as many repatriated slaves later reunited with their communities by looking at facial stripes.
The major purpose of tribal marks is for identification of a tribe, family, or patrilineal heritage, symbols of beauty, creativity, and keeping of mischievous people alive, which is known as Ila Adiku among the Yoruba tribe of Nigeria.
Yorubas trace the origin of tribal mark to a certain king named Shango, who sent 2 slaves to a distant country for an important mission. When the slaves returned, Shango, the king, found that one slave had achieved successfully what he had been sent to do, while the other had accomplished nothing. The king therefore rewarded the first with high honors and ordered the second to receive 122 razor cuts all over his body, which was to serve as a punishment for flaunting the king's assignments.
But when the scars healed, the appearance of the face of the slave was remarkable, which gave the slave a greatly elegant look, which took the fancy of the king's wives.
Shango therefore ordered that cuts should in future be given not as punishment, but as a sign of royalty, and he placed himself at once in the hands of his subjects to get them out. However, he could only bear 2 cuts, and so from that day, 2 cuts on the arm have been a sign of royalty. This then introduced various other cuts as marks to different tribes.
In traditional Yoruba societies, every child is born into a patrilineal clan called Idile Baba. In Yoruba language, the clans share clan names, Orile or Oriki, which means poetry or taboos, Ewo, and facial marks, Ila.
The facial marks on the child assigns the child full clan membership rights. The children with facial marks are called Okola. Families or individuals lacking the normal features consistent with the tribe are not considered as acquiring full standing as agents in Yoruba society. They would also lack the capacity for meaningful behavior such as greeting.
Each tribe of the Yoruba ethnic group had different inscription patterns which appears in different sizes and shapes at different locations within the face or body. The location and position of the mark's inscription depends on the tribe and culture. The tribal marks could be inscribed on the breast, arm, lap, or buttocks, but they are usually on the face.
Popular among the Yoruba tribal marks are Bele. The Bele style is 3 longitudinal lines inscribed on the cheeks. The variant includes Bele Ife. It is peculiar to the Ile Ife people. Bele Ijebu and Bele Ijesha are other variants of Bele. Owu tribal marks consist of 6 incisions on each side of the cheeks and peculiar to the indigenes of Owu, an historical city in Abeokuta, the capital of Ogun State, Nigeria. The Owu tribal mark was inscribed on the cheeks of Chief Olusegun Obasanjo, the former president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. The Gombo style, also known as Keke, consists of multiple straight and curved lines about a ½ inch apart inscribed on the cheeks on both sides of the mouth. Indigenes of Ugbomoso in Oyo State are usually identified by the Gombo or Keke style of tribal marks.
Abaja can be both a basic and also a complex style. It is basic from its either 3 or 4 horizontal stripes on the cheeks. The Abaja style also consists of 12 horizontal lines, 6 lines per cheek. It is often referred to as Abaja Alafin Mefa. The Abaja style of Yoruba tribal mark was inscribed on the cheeks of Lamidi Adeyemi II, the Alafin Oyo. Other Yoruba tribal marks include Ture, Mande, Bamu, and Jangbadi.
The use of tribal mark as a means of identification and visification among the Yoruba tribe is no longer a norm, and some Yoruba states have enacted certain laws that prohibit the use of marks. Violators of the law are liable to fines or imprisonment or both. In Oyo State, for example, the prohibition of tribal marks is an integral part of the state's child rights law, a law that imposes a fine of 1 month imprisonment or both for violation. According to the law, no person shall tattoo or make a skin mark or cause any tattoo or skin mark to be made on a child.
Prominent people with tribal marks include Olusegun Obasanjo, Lamidi Adeyemi II, Ayo Fayose, Adeboyega Dosumu, Amororo I, and Christopher Alao Akala, Alpha Begore, and King Sunny Ades, to mention but a few.
Oh my God!
Election is when we elect our leaders who represent us, and election is my right as a citizen of this country.
Election is a voting process. Election is a voting process, like vote a candidate for a leadership.
It's not like my right to choose the country's leader. My own part to play about it.
Say from layman point of view, is any activity that is aimed at putting people in a position of authority.
It's a platform, an avenue for people to elect those or get into offices, those that they want to represent them.
An election is simple now. You just
people choosing one or two people. Society choosing a number of people to represent, to lead, to coordinate, to do administration. All right.
And now you want my trust once more.
Before you can say, you know, what an election is, there has to be an electorate. Somebody has to, you know, vote, you understand, in an election for people of authority to get into power.
The vote is the power of the electorate. All right, so the people brings their power to the table during an election. That's what it is.
I think it's more like us having a say of who goes there to represent us, of who we talk to, you know, that will guide us aright, you know, and give us the benefit of that. Oh, let me not use the word "the past one." Or give us the benefit that what we need is what we're going to get.
Between the electorate and the election itself, the electorate are supposed to willingly vote according to their conscience, according to what they feel that the capabilities of whoever they want to elect into offices can do.
The electorate, they have the power to elect their leaders because this is a democratic setting, and you know what the meaning of democracy is. Democracy is government of the people, for the people, and by the people. So it is our right as the electorate to elect our leaders.
Only God can judge you now. Only God can judge you now.
Come on, you can't buy my right. It is my right as a citizen, and you can't buy it with money. No amount of money can buy it. So because by the time you sell your right to vote, you're selling your birthright. That's the way I see it.
I think that is laughable. I don't think, you know, you need to pay to get my vote, but rather you need to earn my vote. My vote is free. I mean, I don't have to collect anything from you to vote for you. If you tell me what you are going to do, and I am okay, and I believe that voting you, you know, will mean realizing such aims and objectives, then I will cast my vote for you. I don't need to take money to vote for you.
That's a lot of money. My power is all I have got. All right. So if it's like I'm selling myself to you. If you pay me and I give you my power, my vote is my power. So it means you are ready to pay a whole lot of money. It's like I'm selling myself to you as a slave. You have total control over me. So that will be difficult to sell, actually. That will be very, very. In fact, it's difficult to explain. Well, but it's also simple to explain. You know, if I give you my power, I have sold myself to you. So why should I do that? It's my vote during an election is my power, is everything I am.
You know, a matter of money, because it's about my generation now, you know, trying to cause a change. There is no money whatsoever that, you know, one has to pay to get the right leader. The money can finish, but when the money finishes, what happens? What's next? You know, that's what we're looking at.
You can only offer me your conscience and nothing else. The conscience that I have to believe that when you get in there, you represent me well. I don't believe in selling of votes, and I can't do that. So my vote only can appeal to your conscience, and that is exactly what it is. If I find out that you cannot represent me well based on your antecedents, I can't at all vote you in, no matter how much you're giving to me.
I don't need anybody's money to vote. If I want to vote, I will vote for someone I choose to vote for. Not because of the money.
See, all I wanna say is that they don't really care about us.
That is the pain of the problem, the pain of the issue here. Collecting money and then selling your votes. You're selling a whole generation of yours. Very wrong. So people should vote according to their conscience, no matter how much they are giving you. Let them go with their money. Vote according to your conscience. And when the person comes in, he will know definitely that he did not spend any money. He has come to do work for you. And he will definitely do the work. But when he buys your vote, what do you expect him to do? Definitely nothing. If I come to you and I buy votes from you, you don't expect me to do anything for you. So if they should have any expectation on the incoming administration, they should, from this very moment, begin to reorientate themselves, begin to understand that once they say their votes, they don't have any moral justification again to ask for the amenities that these people are supposed to come in to provide for them.
They should know that, I mean, when you sell your vote, you shouldn't hold your leaders accountable for anything. Because at the end of the day, when they buy you, you are electing the wrong leaders. And it will in turn rub off on what will benefit our citizens of this country. Because what we're suffering from in this country is as a result of politicians buying our right to vote them in. That is what we're suffering from. So it should be discouraged. It should be discouraged.
If you look at the lifestyle of people who sells their vote, they are in complete penury, living in squalor. They have no hope. Leadership that continues to gives out money to buy people's vote in an election will continue to exploit the people. They would continue to refuse to do what they should do. They would continue to keep back developmental projects that is supposed to empower the people, and continue to use them as piecemeals during election.
The common understanding is that once you sell your vote, it's like you sell your future, and you sell the future of the unborn. Because one, if you sell your vote, the person who bought your vote from you bought it, with a price and his personal money, and he will have to do business to recoup his money. And by the time he's recouping his money, you will be the one to suffer.
Okay, you look at the children, you look at yourself. Are you really in the right place? Is the country in the right position? Can we compete with other countries out there? When you collect the money now and you finish it, what's happened next? So I think with that right frame of mind, people tend to think twice before they collect money, because at the end of the day, the money finishes, but the person is still there for the 4 years.
So you shouldn't allow politicians buy you over. That is what we are suffering from as citizens, because we elect the wrong people. So at the end of the day, they're not accountable to us. By the time they buy you, definitely they will recoup their money. So as a result, you will not enjoy any form of amenities. What they are supposed to do for us, of course they cannot do it for us, because they are like investors. You invest money, you want to recoup it. So you can't hold them responsible for anything.
Why you keep on deceiving the people, my brother, my sister?
When you get politicians that want to come into power by crook or by any means,
one thing is them having doubts, them not having the consciousness of producing results. When you won't produce results, you tend to pay for something. When they pay them off, they feel they can do anything there because you are being bought over, so you don't have authority anymore.
Of course, they are businessmen. That is what they are. Businessmen coming to sell, coming to buy. So when they come to you, tell them that you are not selling. They will definitely come. They don't have any other thing. They don't have nothing whatsoever to offer the country except that money that they have, with which they will come to buy your vote. And when they enter there, they don't do anything for you.
Why don't we work together so the future will be brighter?
Money politics is the worst type of politics you can experience or have anywhere in the world. So our challenge is actually coming to the place of realization, of understanding what you are, what you carry, and who you are. If we can get to that place easily, then all of this would not even come up.
People should begin to, realize that once these people are voted in on the basis of having bought your vote, I'm telling you, they will not do anything for you.
As a nation, we should know that those who are buying votes in the first instance do not mean well for the country. And if it is possible, the whole country should revolt against them. once you see anybody, you know, soliciting to buy your vote, that should be enough reason to reject that person or that political party, as the case may be.
If you vote for money, at the end of the day, the person will be doing anyhow in the power, and you have the right to say anything.
The value of my vote is enormous. It's about the change I want in my country. It's about a whole lot of things. The generation at large, you know, we're talking about what we want to see, the change we want to see in our country. Look at the Western country out there. We are not just closed. The education is down, everything is not working, so we need something to work in this country.
My voter's card has power because it is my right. It is my right, and nobody can buy it.
I dedicate this one to all of the shady politicians. We go promise and fail, and they make the people live in harsh conditions. Yeah.
The Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, has announced the registration of 23 new political parties, raising the number of registered parties in Nigeria to 91. The Commission, in a statement issued by Mohammed Haruna, its National Commissioner and member, Voter Education and Publicity Committee in Abuja, stated that the registration was one of the decisions taken at its regular meeting held on Tuesday. The Commission said it received 144 applications from political associations seeking registrations as political parties. The Commission added that the new parties will receive their certificate of registration on Thursday at its headquarters. Good evening and welcome to Politics and You. My name is Pius Samuel. Today we'll be looking at INEC registering 23 more political parties. We're looking at political alternatives ahead of the 2029 general elections. This and more is what my guest will be doing justice to. I have with me in the studio Van de Van James. He is a politician and also a political analyst. Thank you very much for finding our time to be here.
Thank you, Mr. Pius.
Yeah, 23 and 91. Where are we heading to democratically?
Well, it's the beauty. We are heading to an area where everybody will not have a space to contest, everybody will have a say, everybody will not want to show what he has to offer to the nation. So I think having the figure 91 is a very good thing. But the question is the viability of most of these 91 political parties. Because at the end of the day, you now discover that most of them will end up just having the name today and then they fizzle out again. So it is one thing to have the numbers, it's another thing to have those who can push the party to stay beyond to this election. So I think it's a good thing.
So why do we have to, come up with political parties that most times maybe the organizers even know that they might not go too far in the process?
Well, if you look at the Nigerian pattern of life, we are always in a hurry to become chief executives of so many institutions. So it is not different from political parties also. We want to become the head, not the tail at any given point in time. So in today's context, we discover that every Nigerian wants to wear a political party so that he can no longer be pushed about as what we have seen in so many states today. If you have your own party, you know those who are coming on board to contest, they must have the ideology you feel they should have. It will be easier for you to have those people with the like minds to join you. But the question still remains, do you have the resources to fund the offices nationwide and at the local government? That is where the question comes. So I think INEC should review the number of parties that should be registered at every given point in time, and that should be done with understanding with the National Assembly. If that is done, I think they should adjust the qualifications and the principles of having parties to be registered. It will be easier to checkmate that.
Who is responsible for sponsoring some of these political parties?
Well, the group or associations that come up with a name and then apply to become associations, and then the political parties are the ones that are supposed to sponsor. Then at a point in time, INEC used to give them certain subventions to also run their political affairs. But they must meet certain standards. They must have offices in all the states of the Federation. But you trust Nigerians. They may go to one of the lowest areas of the society and create a small kiosk there and call it an office, a state office for that matter. So we should be able to also look at it beyond the issue of just having a political party. Do they want to make money out of this? Yes. So that by the time you are calling meeting for those who are coming in, those who have political parties, you discover that you see a lot of people coming that I am also the owner of a political association or a political party. So people want to be seen, not to be heard in Nigeria. So most of them are having these associations not because they really want to use it, because they want to have power within an area where they dominate. So it's not as if they are really going to do any other thing beyond these elections.
So will you say this is a little bit not too healthy for our democracy?
Yes, it's not. Obviously it's not, because I don't see where you can have 91 political parties and then you have people with 91 different ideologies. We should be having
for a single country.
A single country. It's not possible. We should be having a situation where we have 3 solid political parties. Others can just be there because they want to have a name. But the most important thing is you have those who are to the right, to the left, and then the center. When we have these 3, you don't have any other thing that should be doing with another association. So for me, the number 91 is too plenty.
Okay, in all of this, don't you see that, don't you think, rather, that Nigerians will have other alternatives apart from the 2 dominant parties, talking about APC and the PDP?
Well, you still have a wider space to contest. If you look at the economy of printing ballot papers, for instance, you will discover that at the end of the day, you are having political parties that may not even win a single vote in most of the local governments that they will be starting to contest. But you look at the list of the political associations on the ballot paper, 91, if assuming 90 even contest or 60 contest one election in the state, you can imagine the length of a political party, the ballot paper. And then how many people are having that patience to not go through all the symbols and see which one is your own and then stamp print? So it's still not going to give you that voter education that you are looking out for. It may confuse people the more. So the most important thing is not just the 2 dominant parties, but there should be one strong party that can stay between the ruling party, the major opposition party, and then they should be in the center. So that will be better for democracy here.
Now let's look at the 91 political parties. Either we like it or not, we have 91 political parties in this country, and we are not going to take away that fact from the political space. Now, looking at it from that perspective, do you think these people are coming up with ideology rather than personal interest? Or they are just out to seek for power, all for seeking for power?
Well, I think it's not power, it's not ideology, it's just a question of becoming relevant in wherever they are coming from. Because most of the people who have these associations today, you will discover that when they call for their national congresses, the number of people you see could be just about 50 or 30. Now, when you go down to some states, you discover that most states will not even know that there are existing political parties beyond the 2 that we know. And then there will be no symbols, there will be no offices, there will be no visibility of any of them at all in most of these states. So having this large number of parties coming most especially from the southern part of the country, for me is not a healthy thing. Why will you want to have 91 political associations and then you still have more applications that are still sent in? So it is a question of trying to look at the financing. If we are having this, is it there is another area of corruption that people are trying to open up how they can now siphon money or what? You should look at all these things. So if we are looking at this, it will become an issue where you also look at the budget of INEC vis-a-vis the existing political parties, and then the support INEC gives to these parties. Do they really use it judiciously? Because there was a time sometimes last year, most of them were deregistered. They went to court because they didn't comply with the existing laws that were supposed to guide the operations within the country. So it is no issue of having a political party. It's having a party that you can have people who can identify with the mindset of what you want the party to achieve for the nation. The ideology, then the manifesto of the party, and then what area of economy do you want the party to achieve? In security, what do you want the party to do? In terms of education, how do you want it to function? In terms of agriculture. Most of these parties will just look for one manifesto, one constitution or another political party and dump it and publish it. That is their own also. So that is why when you look at all the constitutions of all the political parties, most of them are so closely related. So if you're asking whether they have the same ideology or the same printer has done the work or the same lawyer has drafted it. So for me, it is not issue of looking for space. It is not just that we are prepared to have a very decent political system.
So in all of this, do you think we found ourselves in a very difficult stage?
Yes, we do. I really pity INEC because if tomorrow you say you are conducting presidential election and most of these political parties will start selling their presidential funds for maybe 100,000 naira and governorship for 50,000, you will have a lot of people that will not pick such funds. And then if you have 50 political parties that can reduce the cost of their funds to that level, you will not discover that you are going to have over 50 presidential candidates. So one, there will be a lot of issues of identity at the rural areas because of misinformation. Then the similarities of the symbols of the political parties. So when this is done, you will discover that at the end of the day, there will be a lot of court cases against INEC and others against other candidates. Or other political parties may feel that they've been shortchanged. So for me, the number 91 is still too bogus. So we should learn to also work together with people. This is to tell you that in most cases, Nigerians think about their own personal self, not as a nation. If you are thinking of national issues, I don't think you'll be thinking of having a political party when you already have over 50 existing. Why can't you fit yourself into one and support it?
Now let's draw inferences from our neighboring country, talk about Ghana. In 2012, there were 30 political parties registered in Ghana. But in 2018, they have 24 political parties. Now, what lessons do you think we stand to learn from Ghana political space?
Yes, that is what we are saying here. When you have 35 or 30 that are reduced to 24, it is to look at the economy of running these political parties. Now, when you have a large number of organizations under you to control, you may not have the manpower decent enough to also control 91 political parties. By the time you are going for inspection of offices in one state, you will not discover that if you have two staff that are going to maybe Benue to inspect the number of associations that have offices in Benue, you go to Nasarawa, you go to Taraba, you go to Plateau, you will discover that some will tell you my office in the state is not in the state capital. It's outside the state capital and you may travel for another 400 kilometers to get to that point. So instead of doing one day in Benue, you will end up doing 3 days in Benue and not seeing any office at all. So one is going to take a lot of resources to check most of these things. And secondly also, it's going to cost INEC a lot of money and time to do this. So for me, it is better to register most of these things or make the process of registration more difficult for people who don't have much to say politically to just come out that they want to hold associations. These are not companies. These are offices that you want to develop individuals, develop your communities or your societies. And when everybody is not trying to have a PFC as we will have churches today, it's not going to be well for us. So we should learn what Ghana did. So their template and say we can also reduce the parties down to maybe 20.
But if you look at our population with that of Ghana, you might want to take a different stand because if the population of Ghana is not up to 180 million and still counting as far as Nigeria is concerned, don't forget that we are the most populous nation as far as the black race is concerned. Now, do you think the political parties that we have now spanning into 91, don't you think is commensurating with our population?
You don't form political parties on the basis of population. If you look at these political parties now, maybe some states in the southeast may have more numbers than those in the north. And then when you look at the quantum of those who are contesting the election, as at 2015, 2015, you now discover that the total number of candidates that were fielded for election in all the posts were less than 100,000. So when you are having lesser number contesting for these positions in most of the states, why do you need all this number for? You don't need this large number to now have a space to rule or to support what democratic institutions you want to do for a state. For me, it is not the size of a country that should determine the number of political parties we have. It should be the interest, the ideology of the people within that. How many people are Democrats? How many people are Republicans in terms of thinking? Then how many people can take from left to right and then stay in the center? Now, when you now look at the manifestos of most of these political parties, they are similar. And if they are similar, it means certain groups have similar ideologies with what you have. So why not just work together and join them and increase the strength of that political party instead of saying you have miniature political parties that you are developing today. So what we have today shouldn't be commensurate to the population. It should be commensurate to the ideologies that the population that we have has. We're not running individual companies. Everybody should have a limited liability company. That's the level we're heading to. So, but if National Assembly should sit down to take a look at the process of registration and deregistration, I think it will help a long way in trying to curb this kind of trend.
Do you think the country can survive all of this? Like you rightly mentioned, having a very long ballot paper, do you think the country can survive all this, or you would rather prefer us to move into electronic voting so that we will do it with all of the physical papers and all of that?
Yes, even if you go into electronic voting, you will still discover that certain papers are supposed to be printed, so that INEC should print those who are vying for each position. So that once you go, you know that this is A, B, C, D. And then you discover that maybe the polling booth is so small. But how many posters will you put there to accommodate maybe 30 people who are contesting? You discover that it will be too plentiful for you to start scrapping for who is the person you want to vote for. If we go into electronic voting system, it's quite fine. For me, that is the best. We are talking about maturity and trying to, in democracy. By now, that is what we should be canvassing, not the total number of political parties we have. Nobody wins election or nobody develops a country by having so many political parties. It is the mindset of the individuals who are in these parties that develops a nation. So why not look for a mindset that is similar to the party that you want to join and enjoy, instead of having 91. Secondly, when you look at from the perspective of what you are asking, now when you have a system where you have too many political parties, and then you have a system where you are also going to vote electronically, you are going to vote for the same number of candidates that maybe they will come up to 91. So by the time you are collating the results, you discover you are still going to have a lot of issues there, because these are systems that are supposed to be fed with what you have physically on the field. So by the time you make one mistake, you discover that it takes a very long time for you to now kind of readjust what you have done. Systems could fail. So it may result to manual, as it happens in most of these countries. So when you are having manual voting or counting, you discover that to sort out 91 ballot papers in each of the polling booths is something very heavy. So for me, it's not effective, it's not economical.
Okay, let's look at it from the electorate perspective. Don't you think the electorate will now sit back and have an opportunity to take a kind of reflex and say, okay, I've tested party A, I've tested party B, I've tested party C. I have, you know, a pool of political parties to make my choice from. Now, they will now sit down and check out what exactly are the ideologies behind some of these newly registered political parties. Now, why I'm asking this is because I feel that with all of these numbers, the electorate will go back and think and take a position, and maybe that will form an alternative for them, you know, in the nearest election, probably not 2019, but maybe, who knows, 2023. Don't you think all of those parties will form an alternative for the average voter in Nigeria?
Well, thank you. I think in terms of choice of political parties, yes, you have an alternative. But the credibility of the candidates inside these parties is what we should be looking at. The electorates will not be looking at the political party per se. What their concern should be the personalities that are going to vie for positions in these political parties. So when you are having election for maybe governorship in the state, what candidates should be, what the electorate should look for, should be who can deliver, who can give them dividends of democracy, not the party. Because if you are talking of party, we have been through political system for a very long time now. We've been in, we've been out, we've been in, we'll be out now. Now you now discover that if you go to some states, PDP governors performed very well. If you go to some states, APC governors perform very well also. Now, but the totality is that if you go to such states where the PDP governors didn't perform, people will say we don't like this. So next election is going to be predicted on the basis of voting out that person because he didn't perform, not the party now. Now, we should by now be able to identify people who have biography that they can be really able to work for the society. Not people who can come in today and then they shut the roads down because they want to pass. Those who want to blow the siren because certainly they become afraid of those who were voting them. So if we are looking at choosing political parties to become the in thing, then we'll be getting the whole thing wrong. We should be focusing on those who are going to be carrying the flag of these political parties. Those who are capable to not develop the economy, develop education, develop labor. These are the kind of people we should be looking at. If you have so many parties, you may even confuse the electorate more because among those who vote, it is those who are primitive in villages that vote. It is not those who are enlightened. The day of election, most of them will stay back in their houses because this one will tell you I registered in Abuja while my state is in Kogi. This one will tell you I registered in Kogi, but I'm here in Abuja. I can't travel because if I vote for them, I can't say anything. So we shouldn't be looking at the political parties. Let us start looking at those who cannot give us what we really feel can save the situation.
So what do you think should be the guiding principle for INEC? Because registering you know, a large number of political parties, like what we've seen in recent times, you know, begs the question that what exactly is happening in our political space? Because despite the fact that we have the two major parties, you know, we also have some handful of political parties that have also made waves, you know, in recent years. And INEC is also coming up, you know, with this large number of political parties. What should INEC be looking at for now? What should they be looking out for?
Well, Mr. Pius, if you look at events that happened in the country last 2 weeks back, you discover there was a time they told you that 53 political parties form a coalition of opposition against APC. Now, when you have 53 people coming together, that we are independent 53 political parties that will want to come and join you to now fight against APC, you don't discover that it becomes a child's play. Because if you actually know what you are doing, you shouldn't be coming to now work in that kind of a large alliance with one single political party. It would have been a thing that out of the 53, someone might have said that, okay, I have the resources to now stand alone and contest election against APC because this is my manifesto and this is what I feel I am better than the president who's on seat today.
But the APC did same in 2014.
Yes, they did same, but it wasn't to this large number of political parties.
Maybe the political parties were not as much as what we have now.
Even then we had a lot of political parties. But you will now discover that we're having a CPC, we have AMPP, we have the PDP, then we have the Action Congress, we have the ABGA. Now, there were 5 parties that were really strong. Now, when you have 5 parties that were strong, you don't look at the spread. Now, ABGA was stronger in the southeast. The AD was stronger in the southwest. And then CPC was stronger in the northeast also, or northwest. Now, when you take the totality of all these parties, you now discover that there were very senior citizens that were behind these parties. And that is why their own pedigree was able to now endear them to now hold solid in the zones that they were. But in today's parties that you are having, how many people have you had their names known? What were they doing before now? Where were they before now? Why did they leave these other parties they were in before now? So these are the things we should be asking. It is the same thing we have the multifarious churches that we are still going to have in the political parties today. So for me to sanitize the situation, I think the conditions for having the political party now should step up so that people cannot just walk up and say, I have party A. Because before you know, we should be talking of 200 political parties in Nigeria. We have them in other countries, but they are also very silent. But here, you have parties that will never even win a councillor. So if you cannot even win a councillor in your own state where you are, then what's the basis of you having a political party? It means you as a person in your own local government, you can't even have that pedigree to win a ward election. And then you are talking about winning anything at the federal level or the state level. So for me, the parameter for registering parties would have been, if we register you today, and by next election you cannot produce a councillor or 10 councillors in one state, or minimum of 3 states, then they should register you. So if you are deregistered, you go and start afresh. You don't have to come back that you are going to call that you have been given a license. The license should be conditional. Shouldn't be a thing that you have it and then tomorrow, every election and you are coming up that. If you call meeting today that you want to talk to political parties, you can imagine the kind of hall INEC will be looking for now. It's no longer going to be a smaller hall. So it's going to take a lot of cost also to hire a hall to accommodate all the people that will come. So for me, we should be looking at how viable the democracy could grow, not becoming a thing where everybody now wants to have a political party.
Now let's look at this vis-a-vis the 2019 general elections. The election is just a couple of months away, especially the presidential election that is coming up in February. Now, do you think INEC should be registering political parties at this point? Looking at the time frame, that the elections will be taking place. How also viable do you think these political parties can be, and how far do you think they can go?
Well, for the issue of registration, it's a mandate, it's a statutory mandate INEC has to register political parties. If they don't, someone will sue them that I meet all the conditions of having a political association and they don't register me. So the most important thing is for INEC to continue to register as long as they have the time. Now, elections are some few months away, as you said. Now, most of these parties that you have registered today and the ones that have been existing, nobody has really come out apart from PDP now that he has a candidate that wants to challenge Buhari for the next forthcoming election. So the most important thing for them to do is, you are registered, but I don't think most of them will be capable or be prepared to feed any candidate now to contest any election, even at the state level, because it is pretty too late for most of them now to even start canvassing for those who can come and start declaring from them. Unless after the primaries, people who feel they've been cheated out of primaries can all say, okay, let me find a safer haven for this. And you trust Nigerians, it's going to cost you. Because you negotiate with them, they will tell you, well, this is my party, you are coming to join me now, so this is what you must do. And that is where godfatherism still continues in politics. You can't do away with it unless these things are adjusted. So that people should have integrity to know that it is not the number that matters, but it is the quality of the personality within these numbers that matters.
Do you think the third force can make any difference?
They can make a difference.
Why?
The third force wanted to. You have one that was NIM, and then one was the third force. NIM started well, the Nigerian Intervention Movement started very well. Everybody thought they were going to do, but they became too academics because they discussed politics on piece of papers with theories. Nigerian politics have gone beyond theoretical explanations now. It is a thing that you should be looking at those who are serious in contesting the election. Now, the time the third force came, you were expecting that you will see people now going there en masse, people who have names, people who have made history, people who have positions, people who have integrity, moving out of maybe APC or PDP to go and form the third force. But nobody followed. And then when the APC also came out, you will be expecting that they were going to now take up one or either name or the third force. But they still didn't go to this way. And then most of these new political parties that you have today, none of them has been able to now tell you that this is a presidential candidate we are putting in place. From SDP to ADC to UDP and to the rest of them. So for me, we are not going to achieve anything with these new political parties. The only thing you can still see is that we are going to have a contest between PDP and APC.
So in 2019, that's what Nigerians should be expecting.
Yes.
Now, what do you think? Do you think any of these new political parties can form alliance? Because I know in recent times, we've seen situations whereby political parties will say, okay, we are not fielding any presidential candidate. We are supporting a particular presidential candidate belonging to another party. But when it comes to the governorship position, you see them fielding their own, candidate. Are we likely to see this, in the upcoming election?
Yeah, it's most likely we'll still see that because these are the kind of alliances that the 53 political parties were talking about with PDP. That, okay, presidential, you go, but at the governorship elections, we also feed our candidates. Where we don't have, we support your own. So for me, it's still not going to work out the way it fared the other time also in this forthcoming election. You don't create a political party that you want to climb on the shoulders of another person to win elections, If you are not going into an alliance, it will be that, okay, in my state, I am stronger than you on ground, so let me also feed the candidate for the governorship and then your party should support me. But PDP is everywhere in Nigeria. APC is everywhere in Nigeria. So there's no way any of these two parties today will tell you that you are coming in, so we shouldn't feed the candidate for senatorial election or for House of Reps, or for governorship. It's not going to be possible. So most of these alliances that we're having today are just cosmetic. They're not going to stand.
Now, do you think the coming of these new political parties will break the jinx of money-backed politicians?
I don't think it will, because the challenge we have in Nigeria today is that they will tell you election is not expensive, but it is, because I am contesting. It's expensive. Now, the second one is that some people have had political parties to stay in place, and you are coming in to join them. Now, when you join them, you can't push away the leadership of these kind of parties. You must work with the understanding of the person who has been holding this party. It is natural in life. So if you are coming to join anybody in any of these parties, you should be prepared either to sponsor your election yourself and then to pay some bills. And when you don't pay bills, it means you are not just prepared to do election. So for me, the money bags can still not go away, because if you don't have money, you don't contest. You had the not too young to run bill. Now, how many youths are coming out today to contest election? And then how many of them will be able to afford a ticket of contesting even the House of Reps or the House of Assembly in the States? It's very expensive. You are having someone that has not been working, maybe for 4 or 5 years. He has been doing politicking. And now you are saying, go and get a House of Assembly form for 1 million. And then you buy the form or the intent form, maybe 500,000. By the time you do this and you are going around for consultation, you discover that you are looking at spending close to 10 million naira. Where can the not too young to run candidate have that kind of money to come around? So for me, money bags will still come in there to sponsor that kind of person if they feel they have faith in that person. Police investment. If a contractor feels that you stand the time to win election, he can sponsor you, and then maybe you negotiate how he gets his money back by awarding contracts to him. So money bags will still stay in politics.
How do we address it?
We can only address this by, one, empowering people beyond politics. It's not everybody that must come into politics. But when society is enlightened in such a way that they cannot choose you, that we have seen your pedigree, we've seen your background, you are so good that you can deliver. They cannot even contribute money to get a form for you and then campaign for you. That's the only way we can do that. When honesty comes into what we see people can achieve, that is the only way we can do all with this. But where honesty is not there is greed. That you have a lot of people, even at the rural areas. You go there asking you, give us transport fare, give us money for feeding, give us this, and then every people are calling you that this person is dead, this one is sick. They expect you to pay, and once you don't do this, it means you don't have a good attitude towards them. So the most important thing is for people to start separating personalities that can deliver and personalities that can only come there to cheat them. When that is done, then they will start voting people who have the credibility to now run the country. That's the only way we can do it with the money back.
Okay, let's look at the 2019 election vis-a-vis, the 23 political parties now, making the total of 91 as far as Nigeria is concerned. Will this alternative in 2019 help, take away vote buying, or you think it's going to open up, the space into people making the electorate to make more money, during elections? I was speaking with a friend over the phone, and he told me that if you want to make quick cash, no matter how small, I think the next business center is the polling unit. Do you subscribe to this?
No, I don't. I don't subscribe to that. And I think that is one area INEC is supposed to come out very strongly in trying to campaign against. And then the National Orientation Agency is supposed to also support INEC in doing this. The police or security agencies are supposed to also monitor this kind of thing, because when you buy someone's vote, you buy his right, you buy his future. That is the most important thing. When you buy someone's vote, you're taking away his own rights completely. And those who are buying these votes are supposed to be punished severely, because if you are taking someone's vote to go and vote your own choice or deprive him from voting at all, most of this is because poverty is there. So you don't, rather than not buy his vote, why not sit him down, talk to him, and then support him or assist him, so that tomorrow he can feel better. But people in rural areas are really very, very poor. So when you see them, the illiteracy is there, and the timidity is there. So people capitalize on this thing. So for me, those who are buying votes should be punished. And INEC should do something so fast about it, because it is unthinkable that you can take away someone's right for the few simple money, a simple amount of money like 500 naira, 1,000 naira. Where is he going to take that percent from? But he's looking at a card as something that is of no value to him. Because when people win elections, they don't go back to them. So when people don't go back to them, they feel that this card is of no consequence to them. So the most important is to do away with the card completely. So for me, buying of vote is a very horrible sin, and we should be able to stop it.
Now, INEC has also held trainings, over and again in some very strategic locations in this country. Some couple of weeks ago, trying to train their staff and with some police personnel on how to go about prosecuting, electoral offenders. Do you think this will help stem the tide?
Well, it may help to an extent. But when you look at the deployment on the day of election, now some officers are supposed to escort the election materials to the police stations, and then from the police station to distribute to the local government up to the ward levels. Now, they are also on standby to guide the headquarters where these are collecting centers. Now, those who are physically manning the polling booths, sometimes will have 2 policemen, maybe 1 civil defense officer, or 1 immigration man joining him. But unless they change the rule, because the rule is that it is only the presiding officer in the polling booth that will tell a policeman that there's an offense that you should arrest. So if that is not changed, most of the times policemen can only be watching what is going on, but they can't arrest. Because once you arrest, you have violated the electoral law. So the most important thing is training itself is good, but when you train, you should train also the voters to also become educated, that they are not supposed to say their rights. They should know what exactly is expected of them to do on that day. Now, if you ask some people, the elections are very close. Now, if you ask them today in some communities, they still only know that you have 2 political parties in Nigeria, APC and then PDP. So on the day of election, if you roll out a very long ballot paper for them, they may thumbprint anywhere they feel like, because they see blue is blue, they see broom is looking like maybe an umbrella, and they see one symbol looking like another, they will just thumbprint and go away. So the most important thing is to start educating these people now. With maybe INEC should be able to produce a pilot, a demo voting papers now that can take all these symbols and then give to the electorate to start studying them ahead of the election now. That's the only way education can reach to these people to understand what they're supposed to do on the day of election. But if not, the number of people you will train today will still not be adequate to man the 180 million people who are going to vote on that day.
All right, as we wrap up, what were you really surprised when you heard about the new registration of these new political parties, ahead of the 2019 general elections? When the news broke, a lot of people were like, okay, 23, they are interestingly minute, but when INEC came out with the total number of political parties spanning into 91, it was like, wow, so are we really having, that much political parties? So for you, when you heard about the story, were you surprised?
Yes, I was, because I don't expect INEC to have time to be going through the application forms of most of these new political parties now. What I expect INEC to be doing is, 1, be thinking of alternative source of funding the election if National Assembly don't pass the budget on time. And then they should also be looking at other areas of training, just as you said. But where they have time to sit down and review most of these applications and then license them, for me, I think it's a surprising thing, because already you have 70-something political parties, and then now you are having up to 91. So 91 is a figure too much for you to handle.
What do you expect come 2019 general elections from INEC?
Yes, INEC will do better than what we have seen in previous elections. If you look at the ones they have done in Katsina, the one they did in Bauchi, and then in the Osun State, you discover that there was an element of credibility. The election materials arrived polling centers on time. Security was very good. The results were collected on time. There were little issues of skirmishes here and there. Ballot box snatching was reduced. So I think by and large, the INEC chairman has done well. And I think the system too is improving. So I think we should have a better election in 2019.
All right, we should have a better election in 2019. I've been speaking with Van de Van James, who is a politician, and we've been looking at the newly registered political parties, 23 of them, ahead of the 2019 general election. How far will these political parties go? And don't forget that we have 91 political parties in this country. You can only imagine how long the ballot paper is going to be in 2019. I sincerely want to thank you, Van de Van James, for finding our time to be here today.
Thank you, Mr. Price.
All right, this is how much time will permit us on the show today. Thank you so much for finding our time to tune in. Politics and You will hit your screen again same time next week, Thursday, 7 p.m., God willing. Stay out of trouble, and remember, Nigeria will definitely be great again. I am Pius Samuel. So many thanks for watching.
disco music is so... What's that word, Seth?
Raz?
Raz!
Right, hang on, let me check for something.
Oh.
I've got some classics.
Tupac.
Mozart.
Very Raz.
What about Vanilla Ice?
Also Raz. Look, guy, I need something fresh for this journey. Something to keep me alert and focused. Or else this is a solo assignment.
Cool down, let me... What's this? PVC?
Wait, give me that. Come. How on earth did it get there?
Guy, relax now. It's not like it's of any use.
Look, yes, the elections are over. But we need to keep the flames alive by playing an active part in making our voices heard.
Elections don't finish, but the time to close mouth never reach. Make we get involved, because now when we participate, Naija go better.
What about the original soundtrack for the movie Pretty Woman?
Government in the rain again. Start or join group to solve problems for your community.
To, da kai da ke da ita da shi da kowa nake so na yi magana da. Me ke faruwa? Kana son karuwa ga ka zaune bakin rijiya amma kana jin kishin ruwa? Gangan jikin siyasa. In ta dangwala ka dangwala na dangwala. Ina amfanin ana yi ba da kai ba? A turancin Najeriya to an gaya maka, no sit down look. Kana sit down kana looking komai na ƙara lalacewa? Ina ka ga daman ƙorafi? Da masu jini a jika ake yi, watan matasa. Kwankwasa a buɗa ki shige, da go ka shaki iska ko kalime, da ƙyar ka sha yafi da ƙyar aka kama ka. No sit down look. Matasa ke siyasa. Yin rajista, karɓi katin zaɓe. Yana da amfani kwarai kwa.
No sit down look.
No sit down look.
No sit down look.
Make una no sit down look oh.
A popular saying in Nigeria goes that at the time a cockerel matures, it begins to crow to tell the world the time of day. This makes a crucial premise for all of us who have come of age, the youths, to lend our voices to a nation set to flip a new page, like the chance to vote and be voted for. Whether being a youth, a woman, or a person with disability, and to do this in unity, and to anyone who hasn't been confident enough to exercise these rights, I beg, step out of the dark and come into the light. I mean, your participating in the electoral process is significant, a moment to behold, like that cock crowing in the morning to tell about a difference. No sit down look. Do something that will count today and be in tomorrow's books. The elections are coming. Register for and get your voter's card, your power card. As a citizen, and especially as a young lady or lad, lend your voice, use your voice, talk, say, and tell the world the time of day.
Do you know that PTV remains the best place to showcase those lovely goods and services of yours? Yes, with our visibility in 36 states of Nigeria and over 50 countries of the world, we definitely have the talent reach. What are you waiting for? Book your adverts now. Call us with the number displayed on your screen.
You're watching People's Television, your people's preferred station, powered by you.
For innovative research-based analysis, fresh news and programs, join us on PTV, the People's Oriented Station, transmitting on Star Times Channel 120, showing across 36 states in Nigeria, and Channel 77 on Strong Decoder across 52 countries. Yes, you asked for it. Now you have the best of television. You can also follow us on our social media platforms showing on your screen. People's Television, powered by you.
Soldiers helping Nigerian soldiers fight Boko Haram.
We will have to persuade Nigerian legislators.
This is coming together of people who are confused.
Executive order should comply with the law.
I personally dissociate myself completely.
From this interview. Because you have
there had hardly been any administration.
No religious body in Nigeria validate the claims by the INEC chairman. It is
people of Nigeria, I hear say don't back Odin. For my side, the good as the banamo, because even human being, you no go to the drink Odin. I beg, you good, make a banner. We don't want them again.
A lot of Nigeria youth that have been taken into codeine have caused a lot of havoc to them, even to the society in general.
The recent ban of codeine is very amazing because that will help the Nigerian youths to face the reality and know what they're doing. Because of then, man, people are taking this codeine and they'll be very slow, they can't even help themselves out. But now that it's banned, I think they have no way to find any excuse, so they will come out, do the right thing at the right time and work for themselves.
I feel happy about the ban of codeine in Nigeria because it has caused so many harms to our youth out there. They over abuse it. For those it may affect, they can go for other alternative of cough syrup. It's not only codeine that is in Nigeria that is cough syrup.
To some extent, it's okay. In the sense that the abuse is getting out of hand. You see people taking codeine as if they are drinking water, which is causing health hazards to most of us. That, I say, is not good. But think about it the other way around. I need codeine to cure me of one ailment or the other. And for me to go and get it now from the pharmacy becomes a problem because it's banned. So what do you do now? So before the government will come out to say this and that, I think it should be better for government to find out the root cause of why these guys or these little ones, not even guys this time, even women, even politicians, they do it, they take it. Find out why they are doing it, especially those guys outside. Then try to sort out that problem so that it will stop. If you say you ban it, the effect will be on almost everybody. But if you find out the root cause of why they are doing it, it will help us better.
I think the recent ban of codeine is one of the most positive things this government has done so far. And it's a very, very good thing because it will actually curtail drug abuse. Because if you look at Kano and Lagos State right now, they're among the highest abusers of drug, and Katsina State is a very good thing for the youth, and it will definitely grow the level of efficiency and self-sustenance.
Hello and welcome to PTV Today. I am Aisha Jibrin. INEC's decision to extend the voters' registration exercise by 2 weeks has elicited a rush by prospective voters in Benue State. Many residents are trooping out in large numbers to some of the registration centers in Makurdi metropolis, but they are also expressing dissatisfaction with the process. Now, away from that, the Independent National Electoral Commission is concerned over 200,000 permanent voters' cards are yet to be claimed in Benue State. It is, however, prepared to step up its enlightenment campaign to ensure the more eligible voters show up to pick their PVCs. And on press freedom, the Nigerian Union of Journalists is not comfortable with the arrest and detention of Premium Times journalist Samuel Ogundipe. It also wants the federal government to prevail on security agencies to allow the media carry out their duties without fear. The union wondered why Ogundipe is still being held after 48 hours in spite of public outcry.
It is more than 48 hours since the police took Samuel Ogundipe into custody, and journalists and Nigerians are concerned. This is because another journalist, Jones Abiri, had spent 2 years in custody over what NUJ considered a spurious allegation.
Jones Abiri, for over 2 years by the Department of State Security, on the face of it, is a slap. It's a slap on our democracy. It's a slap on press freedom. It's a slap on freedom of expression. Because judging from even what they're charging for, conspiracy, criminal concealment or whatever. So you look at it and you ask him, what did he do? What did he do? And for 2 years, the DSS could not bring up any evidence against him. As we have seen in court today, this is the second time he will be appearing, yet the DSS could not provide witness or even evidence. That shows they had nothing against him. It was just an attempt to muzzle the press. And any attempt to muzzle the press would definitely affect this democracy.
They argue that media practitioners should be allowed to carry out their jobs without fear.
It's an unfortunate situation, and on the part of the DSS, they have failed. And I think the DSS had to stop this kind of intimidation. It's unjust to keep someone for 2 years without any evidence. I am in the court today and I listened. They have no evidence why they are keeping him, and this should not continue. This should be discouraged. This is not the kind of DSS we are expecting. The DSS should be restructured, and I think it is high time. You don't keep someone when you don't have evidence to prove why you're keeping him. The court have called for 2 years. No, you cannot forward why you are keeping this man. It's so disturbing, it's so worrisome, and I condemn DSS to the totality in this particular regard.
What we've seen is the persistence of advocacy, that an injury to one is an injury to all. If the journalist fraternity had not galvanized the kind of support that was needed for government to show that Jones was alive, our efforts would have been futile. But also, it also brings to question the issue of press freedom in Nigeria. Press freedom and freedom of opinion is a constitutional guarantee. But unfortunately, we have seen that there have been breaches here and there under this government and in previous administrations, which should not be so. As we presently speak, a journalist is in the custody. Samuel Ogundipe is in the custody of the police. As we are speaking right now, the police are brutalizing protesters in front of police headquarters.
And in spite of the ordeal of Abiri and now Ogundipe, the Journalists Union wants its members not to be deterred. The leadership urged media men to continue to operate within the ethics of the job and the ambit of the law.
Well, one, they should adhere strictly to the provisions of the ethics of our profession and be factual in all they are reporting, not biased, and of course, things like this could happen once in a while, but they should remain on they should not be deterred, and they should also have at the back of their minds that their union is solidly behind them. We will fight this case, any of the similar thing like this to happen to anybody, we will fight it anytime we see such things occur. So they should not be deterred. It's part of the hazards of the profession, and I am sure we are up to the task as professionals we will fight such things. And the journalism, yes, it's not a crime. Yes, we have been saying that journalism is not a crime. So nobody, so no government or any agent of government should not treat journalists as criminals or our profession as a crime. No, we are offering a service to the society. And while the government should do its own, they should also allow the press to do its own work within society.
All right, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
The NUJ also maintained that it won't relent in its efforts to see Ogundipe released and his bank account unfrozen. Emmanuel Ehijine, PTV News, Abuja.
The police have meanwhile said they have not done anything wrong by holding on to the reporter. Police spokesman Jimoh Moshood insists in a statement that Samuel Ogundipe is being investigated and prosecuted for, quote, theft and unlawful possession of restricted and classified documents inimical to national security, unquote. He explained that the journalist is also being prosecuted under other offences which violate Official Secret Act, Cybercrime Act and the Penal Code law. The police spokesman noted that Ogundipe has since volunteered statements and is standing trial. Moshood added that Ogundipe was arraigned within 24 hours of his arrest and remanded in police custody till Monday, August 20th. The arrest and prosecution of Premium Times reporter Samuel Ogundipe by the police have been eliciting negative reactions on social media. While the arrest came on a day, the presidency ordered an overhaul of the Special Anti-Robbery Squad, SAS. The consensus, especially among Twitter users, is that acting President Yemi Osinbajo needs to intervene on the matter.
Welcome to Social Media Reactions here on PTV News. I am Daniel Mwaboso. Now, since the arrest of the Premium Times reporter, Twitter has been on fire with the hashtag #FreeSamuelOgundipe, which has been trending. Notable Nigerians as well as ordinary Twitter users have joined the call for the reporter's unconditional release. We kickstart with the tweet from Governor Ayo Fayose. After weeks of silence, the Ekiti State Governor joined the fray, saying the move deserves condemnation by all lovers of freedom of speech and of the press. He added that he was joining well-meaning Nigerians to call for his release. Now, the journalist, for his part, wondered why the police had to freeze Ogundipe's account and asked the central bank whether individual accounts could be frozen without a court order. Anyway, Chickstar believes banks are complying with illegal orders. Now, pro-PDP online activists prefer to draw attention to police siege on Benue Assembly and the blockade at the National Assembly by masked security operatives, as well as closure of visa issuance at the U.S. Embassy, and said, quote, just sounds like those dark days of Abacha's dictatorship. Moving on now, another social media influencer sees it as an attempt ploy to bully him into revealing his sources when it is not like he lied or misinformed the public. He also hopes that, in quote, they don't try to frame him because there's no case here, unquote. Let's move on now, and Amnesty International, which readily complains about alleged police brutality, tweets via its Twitter handle at Amnesty Nigeria handle that the police should unconditionally release journalist Samuel Ogundipe, who it says is in unlawful police detention, and for effects, Amnesty tagged the acting president's handle. Moving up now, we are also adding our voice to the immediate release of detained reporter Samuel Ogundipe. By now, it's not a crime to be active in one's line of duties. Now, and here is one from a journalist, a TVC reporter, whose tweets about police embarrassing the country, embarrasses, the country and all of that. Now, he wants to educate security officers. This is what he said. Femi lashes out at security chiefs and wonder whether it would take another order from the president to free Samuel Ogundipe. Some notable supporters of the Buhari administration, like Kenneth Cole, also opted to brush, politics aside to take on the police with an appeal on the Inspector General of Police not to dent what he says are the good works of the President and his deputy. Moving up now, another person spoke out for journalists by saying, without confidentiality, many sources of information will not give journalists information. That's a tweet you can see there. Now, moving up now, another tweet reminded everyone that it all happened on the day the acting president ordered the overhaul of SARS. He maintained that such impunity must stop. And going to one notable Nigeria now, former Vice President Atiku Abubakar, for his part, said Samuel Ogudigbe's detention for his refusal to disclose his source to a story raises serious concerns about the preservation of the confidentiality of sources. For him, there is need to protect press freedom as guaranteed by the Constitution. Moving on now to another tweet that says, it is quite clear that the consensus among Twitter users in Nigeria is that this is one police move that was so wrong. But one thing you will be sure about is that we at PTV will keep our viewers updated on the developments in the social media on the Free Samuel Ogudigbe campaign. I am Daniel Mwaboso for PTV News.
An Abuja Magistrate Court has adjourned the trial of Bayelsa-based journalist Jones Abiri till August 17th. This is after he was formally arraigned for alleged criminal intimidation. The court also wants the Department of State Service to present evidence to support their claims. Abiri was held in a DSS cell for 2 years before his court appearance.
I can only tell you.
After 2 years in detention, Jones Abiri is finally in court.
This man is rocking. I'm begging him to leave my front.
He is the publisher of Weekly Source magazine. Abiri was arrested in July 2016 for allegedly having a link with militants in the Niger Delta. But his long detention, which lasted for 2 years without trial, is the reason these crowds have gathered at this magistrate court to witness his first arraignment in court. Here in this crowd is the leadership of Amnesty International, Nigerian Union of Journalists, and a host of many other civil rights activists.
We're in a situation whereby people are afraid to speak their mind. They are afraid, and then a situation where members of the press are self-censoring themselves because they are not sure about what would land them in trouble for comments or materials they've shared. And so our call is that freedom of expression is a fundamental human right. Freedom of a press is recognized worldwide. And today, the fact that one of your own has been released on bail is a sign that justice still prevails in our society.
Samuel Ogala is Abiri's counsel. He gave an insight on the journey so far.
But the prosecutor came ill-prepared, and then we made an application that the FIR should be struck out and the defendant discharged. But the court, in his own wisdom, decided to adjourn the case to tomorrow and gave the prosecutors the last warning that if they are not ready to commence trial tomorrow, that the court will do justice by striking out the case. The prosecutor was in court, but the prosecutor that came in court claimed to be representing the main prosecutor, who he claimed is not around. And there was no justifiable reason why the lead prosecutor is not in court.
The court threatened to strike out the case if the DSS fails to provide detailed evidence against Abiri. Emmanuel Bagdu, PTV News, Abuja.
A Niger Delta activist, Daniel Ezekiel, has alleged that a number of youths are held in DSS facilities in the last 3 years. He made this claim while recalling his ordeal at the detention facility. The activist described the inhumane condition under which he was kept alongside some youths from the region.
There are still so many innocent Nigerians who are languishing in DSS detention. To be precise, as I'm talking to you, 48 Niger Delta youths are in DSS custody for the past 2 years. They've not been taken to court, and those whose family were able to get competent court judgment, they've not been let go. This is the situation we find ourselves in Nigeria, and I equally want to use this opportunity to appeal to the acting president, who is not just a lawyer but a son of 36 years in practice, to carry out a reform in DSS. I think this reform is even overdue for the SSCs of DSS to be curtailed, and for Niger Delta youth who are languishing in DSS custody to be set free.
The Department of State Services now has a spokesman. He is Afunaya Nchoriochi. The appointment was contained in a statement by the Public Relations Department of the agency. Afunaya was identified in the statement as the editor-in-chief of DSS in-house magazine. The Triple S is said to be a PhD student. Until recently, DSS statements were signed in the last 3 years by Tony Obuyu, who has never been seen in public. The last visible DSS spokesperson was Marilyn Oga. The National Economic Council says the security situation in Benue State and other crisis-prone states have improved. This is one of the highlights of the meeting presided over by Acting President Yemi Osinbajo on Thursday. Benue State Deputy Governor Benson Abonu attributed it to the performance of troops deployed for Operation Wellstroke.
The NEC meeting centered largely on the security situation in the country. Members received briefing from National Security Advisor Babangana Mungunu on behalf of the security agencies. Also on hand was the Benue State Deputy Governor Benson Abonu, who confirmed the improved security situation in his state.
There is now a synergy between the security agencies in tackling these, the menace of security issues in the country. Council noticed, of course, noted that there is now a lot of improvement in handling the insecurity situations that we have nationwide. A particular example that was given is the issue of pastoralists and farmers' crisis in some parts of, especially north central zone of this country, and indeed the northwestern part of the country.
Also speaking was the Jigawa Governor, Mohammed Badaru. He spoke about the return of people displaced by militia groups.
There will be enough presence of police and civil defense operatives to be sure that those people coming back are secured. I think that is the reason why a NEC committee was formed, where the Inspector General of Police will also chair, where we'll look at all these issues of IDPs returning home or being afraid to return home.
The NEC also put in place a committee to coordinate security efforts in affected states. Francis Etuko, PTV News, Abuja.
A federal high court in Abuja on Thursday suspended hearing in the contempt suit against the chairman, Independent National Electoral Commission, Mahmood Yakubu. They're suspending the hearing of an appeal in respect of the suit. Justice Stephen Pam said in a short ruling at the resumed hearing that he was adjourning the matter in view of an order by the Court of Appeal. Emmanuel Okori, counsel to the applicant, AGK Ugbogu, had reminded the court about the appeal court order. The judge had earlier told INEC's counsel Samuel Omale to convey his displeasure to Yakubu's counsel Adegboyega Awomolu under the manner in which he was handling the matter. The Independent National Electoral Commission has formally handed out certificates of registration to the new political parties. The ceremony also provided a platform for the Commission to drop hints of plans to tackle vote buying in coming elections.
For the new parties, it's time to roll out the drums. Not surprising, INEC headquarters looked the scene of a mini political rally. While the party supporters were jubilating, their officials were receiving their certificates of registration. For INEC, it was yet another time to reel out the rules of engagement.
The 23 political parties emerged out of 144 applications received by the Commission so far from associations seeking registration as political parties. I wish to congratulate the chairmen and leaders of the new political parties for meeting the criteria enshrined in the Constitution for your registration as political parties. Needless to add that from today, you are recognized as political parties under the law.
The new parties were formally received by representatives of other parties.
This opens the landscape of participation and opportunity for electors to choose their representatives, and also I want to thank the Commission for being diligent, following the law and order by accepting your applications to register as political parties as guided by the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
The new parties say they are bringing something new and better for Nigerians.
Nigerians are tired of the capriciously rapacious political parties that have put them in a state of hopelessness. At this time, I'm hoping that all the members of the 23 political parties here will see ourselves as a fresh lease of life for Nigerians. And Mr. Chairman, we are hoping that when you are giving the next certificate of return, it will be to one of the people in this room and not those who have disappointed Nigerians.
Nigeria now has 91 political parties with the registration of the latest entrants. Emmanuel Bagudu, PTV News, Abuja.
The Independent National Electoral Commission has received sensitive materials for the Port Harcourt Constituency 3 State Assembly by-election. Resident Electoral Commissioner in Rivers State, Ogbe Efanga, disclosed this at INEC State Headquarters in Port Harcourt. He said he received the materials at the Central Bank amid tight security. Efanga added that the movement would be restricted on Saturday between 8 a.m. and 6 p.m. within the areas involved in the by-elections. He also said the participating political parties had assured INEC that they would play the game by the rule to ensure a peaceful electoral process. And that's it on the news this hour. Many thanks for watching. I am Aisha Jibrin.
For innovative research-based analysis, fresh news and programs, join us on PTV, the People's Oriented Station, transmitting on Star Times Channel 120, showing across 36 states in Nigeria, and Channel 77 on Strong Decoder across 52 countries. Yes, you asked for it. Now you have the best of television. You can also follow us on our social media platforms showing on your screen. People's Television, powered by you.
Soldiers helping Nigerian forces fight Boko Haram.
We will have to persuade Nigerian legislators.
This is coming together of people who are engaged.
Executive order should comply with the law. I personally dissociate myself completely.
From this interview, because you have
said there had hardly been any administration.
Well explained the end of justice.
No religious body in Nigeria.
the claims by the INEC chairman. It is